be our kind of primary pedestal or what have you that our turret's going to be living on. So what I want to do here is I kind of want to, let's just bring that in just a little bit, and it'll give us some depth. So our audience will be able to see that something does live in there when it decides to rear its ugly head. So I'm going to hit C on the control, I'm sorry, on my keyboard, and I'm going to go to our live selection and select these top polys. Now I'm going to right click and I'm just going to extrude outwards here like this, like so. And just kind of eyeballing it here, and I'm going to extrude upwards like so. And then I'm going to right click once again, go to my bevel tool, and I'm just going to kind of bevel that upwards just a smidge. Give it a little bit of diversity in the geometry there. And again, I'm going to go to my Fong tag. This is just kind of how I operate, and just kind of harden up our surfaces there. And I'm going to go to my edge mode here, hit UL on my keyboard, and I'm just going to select these guys right here. I just kind of want to round this stuff out. Just kind of soften it up a bit. So right click, back to our bevel. Keep in mind we're going to be beveling and going back and forth quite a bit here. And just kind of soften that up a little bit. Cool. Pretty good start there. And yeah, that'll be living in there. Okay, now that we've got that down, I'm going to go back to our base here. And I kind of want to create kind of some side pockets. As you remember, I kind of had these kind of open areas where we kind of had some power cords or cables coming outwards, kind of lying on the side and then working its way along the ground. You know, it's kind of giving the idea that you have maybe it's attached to some sort of power source, a battery or a generator, kind of helping drive some of its, getting some of its energy. So I'm going to select just these sides here, like so. And I'm going to extrude these inwards, but I'm trying to see exactly what I want to do because I want to obviously save some room because we're going to be doing some other bevels as well. So I'm going to extrude inner here just a smidge, maybe something like that. I'm going to go to my scale tool and I'm just going to bring it along the Z here just a little bit, and very gently I'm just going to extrude just a small portion inwards. And I'm going to go to my front view here. Kind of get in here, and since these both are selected, they'll be doing the exact same thing. And just kind of bring that down. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to get the sense that there's some depth in there. So when the time comes, we can create some sort of kind of our cables coming out. Cool. All right, that's looking pretty decent. Okay, so let's get back into, make sure we're in edge mode here. And I'm going to do a loop selection on the inner here. And I'm actually going to go up to Mesh Commands and then go down to Edge to Spline. And this is a great tool. This will actually create a spline from that edge. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to get out of my lines mode here. I want to take this spline. I'm going to bring this up here. I want to take this guy and his axis is off. Maybe we can kind of just bring that up a little bit. We could probably do axis to center, but right now this will serve its purpose. So let's do that. I'm actually going to scale this guy out. Make sure your axis tool is off. I'm just going to kind of scale him a little bit because I just kind of want to put him in the center here of our lip and kind of bring him up just a little bit. And so with that, I'm going to create a sweep NURBS because we want to create kind of a little bit of a rail, just to kind of add a little bit of fun little detail there. So I'm going to get a circle spline here. I'm just going to drop this down to 5 just for now. We'll probably end up changing that. So I'm going to go into my my subdivision surface area here, which formerly known as Hyper NURBS. And I'm going to go to my sweep. I'm going to drop that circle in there and then our spline there. And yes, as predicted, it's a little thick. So let's drop that down to 1. That's pretty good. I think that works pretty well for what we're doing. So I'm going to actually, we want to kind of create some sort of kind of posts that are just going to kind of be embedded in the slip to kind of hold up that rail. So, you know, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to our objects here, and I'm going to grab a cylinder, and I'm actually going to take the caps off, and we're going to drop that down. And I think we're at 1 on our circle here. And so we kind of want to have the same parameter on our little fence post here, if you will. So I'm going to put the radius at 1, and you know, we're going to want to drop down our height, even maybe 10. So we're going to want it rather small. We're going to have to adjust that eventually. But that's a pretty good start. And we're actually going to utilize our MoGraph. So make sure you got your MoGraph module. And I'm going to go to my cloner here, and I'm going to drop that cylinder right into the cloner. And then I'm going to select my cloner. I'm going to change my mode. It defaults to linear. I'm going to put that on object, and I'm going to drop that spline from our sweetener right in there. And you can see it's going to create some posts. Given it's not the prettiest thing, but we're going to change that here to kind of even everything out. So let's go ahead and change our count here. And put that on step. Well, we'll have to play with our attributes here a little bit. So we're getting some kind of odd numbers here with our little fence posty things. So I'm going to change the number here on the count. And that's pretty good, I think. I think that kind of gives it a nice even amount. So, you know, there's a few things we can do here. We can go to our cloner, and we can manually drop these down. Or we can just go ahead and choose our position here. Kind of sink those down. So that's just going to add a little bit to it here. All right, so let's go ahead and focus on kind of back to the pedestal here. I'm going to grab a sphere, so go up to our objects here. Get a sphere, let's bring that up, and just kind of eyeball it, bring it down. And we're just going to kind of create, we're going to create some funkiness here. So just kind of lining this up on the outer perimeters of our kind of pedestal here. Do that. I'm going to grab a cube here, bring that up as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut right through this thing. I kind of want to create just kind of some rounded sides on this turret. Give it a sense of, you know, it could be something that kind of helps protect the gun, or maybe it kind of helps with kind of a radar type thing. You know, I kind of see it as just kind of protecting the gun a little bit. So I'm going to add a couple segments here to our cube just to make sure that sometimes you get some really bad kind of mesh distortions, because we are going to use a bool object, and we're going to drop our sphere right in there, and then the cube right underneath. That's going to cut right through it. And so that looks pretty all right. And you know, like I said, bools, they can be beneficial. Sometimes they can't be, but for what we're doing right now, I think it's going to be pretty okay. So we're going to actually just kind of edit all of this together so it actually becomes polygons. But you can kind of see some faceting going on here. And so we're going to click off the render perfect, and we're just going to kind of up that maybe to about 50 or something like that, just to kind of help those edges a bit here. And then what I'm going to do basically is just kind of hit C on the keyboard here. And so that's going to create two separate objects here on our guys. And so as you can see, we kind of have some rounded geometry under here. And I could have ultimately tried to work with a hemisphere, but we wouldn't be getting the good results working with a bool. So we definitely want to work with a sphere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our side view, as you can see here. And I'm going to want to delete all of these vertices that live from this point on underneath, because we don't need them. So I'm going to go to our rectangle selection. I'm going to make sure that this is turned off as it is now, because we want to be able to select the vertices all the way through. So I'm going to select all those and just hit delete. And then those are going to go away. So as you can see, we kind of have these two guys. And so I'm going to merge these together as well. So I'm going to select these guys. Just drag marquee or select one, hold down shift, and then select the other. And then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go down to connect objects and delete. And then we'll just take that out of the null here, and we'll call this sides, just to keep it easy. Don't need to overthink it. So things are kind of starting to come together a little bit. Not getting too crazy on the poly count, keeping everything pretty simple. No reason to overthink it. So I think with that, that's a pretty, we're moving forward. So let's go ahead and end this lesson. And then once again, we're going to continue kind of building this out. So we'll see you in the next lesson.